This is part 2 of our interview with Jake Shimabukuro, international ukulele star from Honolulu, Hawaii. And with us are 2 local stars from the Star City Ukulele Circle, Linda Corey and Mary Lou Richardson. Enjoy.
Welcome to T-Bone's Best of Roanoke Show. Music, comedy, and conversation featuring HB, the Honey Badger.
Honey Badger don't care.
Now, on with the show.
You know, you're going to be coming to Rocky Mount, Virginia, February 1st. You're going to be playing at the Harvester Performance Center, and a lot of us are going to go see you there. Have you ever played at the Harvester in Rocky Mount, Virginia before?
No, this will be my first time, and I know my manager and our booking agent. You know, they were very excited.
Yeah, it's
when
a great
the
one.
Dates worked out, and they were like, "Oh man, it's gonna be fun." So yeah, and I believe it's the last show of that run, so it'll be a nice concert. It'll be a nice show to do, you know, before I come back home to Hawaii. So
Do you fly back the very next day?
I believe so. I believe I fly back the very next day, and but just for a week, and then we start up again, and then we start the new tour, you know, for the trio record that comes out, I think, on Valentine's Day.
Well, since that's your last show of that tour, we'll try to keep you up as long as we can.
That sounds good, yeah.
Hey, if you had any other instrument, have you ever given any thought to what other instrument you might play?
Well, you know, when I was younger, I loved picking up other instruments. I can't play any other instrument, but I love picking it up and just dabbling, you know, seeing what kind of sounds I can come up with, because I find that sometimes it gives me new ideas, and it opens up it broadens the chance of me playing something that I wouldn't normally play on the ukulele, right? Because when I pick up the ukulele, a lot of the muscle memory or you're familiar, so you tend to do things that you've done before, you know. But when you pick up like the bass or the guitar or even the keyboard, the piano, and you just start, and you don't know anything about the instrument, and you just start hitting notes, right, at random, then sometimes you come across these great like intervals or voicings of a chord, and you're like, oh man, that sounds really cool, you know. So I'll look at the piano and I'll hold that chord down and I'll look at each note. I'll be like, what notes am I playing here, you know? And I'll look, okay, I'm playing like a C sharp, and you know, and this and that and that, and then I'll either notate it, write it down, and then I'll take those same notes and then I'll find them on the ukulele. You know, and then I'll play them, and a lot of times it'll be some positioning of my left hand, the fingering of my left hand that I've never held before. I would never think of holding, right? But it's something that was so simple to play on the piano, you know, which made it very difficult to play on the ukulele. So I love doing things like that, because it just it gives me these opportunities to find these random chords, you know, and it's awesome. And even like, you know, I have 2 kids, right? And my oldest son, who's 7 years old, he's learning the ukulele, and he likes to play this game with me where he'll just play, you know, he'll just hold any random note down on the ukulele, and he'll strum the string, and he'll be like, okay, Daddy, what chord is this? And he'll strum it. And every once in a while, he plays something that I have to stop and be like, what are you playing there? And I'll look at his fingers, and I'll be like, and I'll kind of analyze it, and I'll be like, wow, this is really cool. Like, for example, just last night, you know, we were playing that game, and he just randomly played. If you're holding the ukulele, And if you're going from the fourth string down, you know, or the fourth string, which is the G string, and if you're kind of going down to the first string, which is the floor, he put one finger on the third fret of the G string, and then he played the C string open, the E string open, and then he played the fourth fret of the first string, you know, which is a D flat. So he has a B flat, a C, E, and a D flat. And I've never played that voicing before, you know. He played it,
Yeah.
and it's so simple, right? Like he played it, and I was like, what are you holding there? And I had to look, and it's great, you know. I mean, it's basically it's basically a voicing for, you know, for like a C7 with a flatted ninth. But I've never held it that way. Right? You always hold it in the form of like a diminished, you know, like the traditional diminished, or sometimes I've held it with the C, you know, the third string open, and you know, but fretting the G. But I never thought to hold it that way, you know. So it's interesting. Sometimes you come across these gems like that, and I just thought it was so brilliant, and
It is.
so I told him I'm
Wow.
going to use that and write a song, you know, using those voicing stuff.
Jake, do you ever try different tuning on your ukulele? Like the D tuning, or like the slack key guitars have the different tuning. Do you ever do that?
You know, when I was, I think, I did a compilation record, I think back in 2001, and it was called The Art of Solo Ukulele. And I recorded, I think, 2 tracks in that compilation CD. And one of the tracks was the song that I played where I tuned the G string up to an A string. And I played an arrangement, and the idea was to kind of mimic the classical, the guitar, where you have your 2 outside strings that are tuned to the same string. So I tuned the G up to an A, and that way I had 2 A's, right? One on the first string and one on the fourth string.
Okay.
And so when you play that as an open chord, it's basically an A minor chord. And I played, I don't know if you remember the piece. I think it was called Romanza. It's been played, it's been recorded so many times, and I think the composer is anonymous, but I think it's called Romanza. And I played that piece on it because it was nice. I had the open A string on the top, so I could play the melody on the bottom 3 string.
Oh, okay.
So that was, that's a simple tuning that you can do. And then there was another tune that I recorded called Floaters. This was like ages ago, and I came up with this really cool tuning, and I haven't used it since, but you keep the A, and let me remember this. So you keep the A on the first string, you keep the A open. The E string, you tune it up a half step to an F. The E string, you tune it down a whole step to a B flat. And the fourth string, you keep it the same. So if you go from the fourth string down, from top to bottom, it's G, B flat, F, A. And the idea is it's like this B flat major chord. You have the major 7 on the bottom, which is the A, right? And then you have the 6 or the 13, directly on top. So it's a really neat.
All kinds
really
of possibilities.
amazing. Yeah.
You're still quite the teacher there,
Yeah.
Jake.
Always the
right,
teacher.
right.
Hey, as we get ready to wrap up, I'm gonna let our 2 experts from the Star City Ukulele Circle pepper you with a couple more questions.
Just a couple of things. Do you have a favorite instrument you play, ukulele, or do you play a lot of different ones?
No, I just have one that I do everything with. I have it's basically it's a 4-string Kamaka tenor, made in Honolulu by a man named Casey Kamaka. It was always my dream to have a ukulele built by him, and to play one of his instruments.
Wow.
So it's.
So how long have you had that instrument?
Well, this one, I mean, the first one that he made for me was, it was I think years ago. This was probably, I don't know, in 1997 or 98
Whoa.
is probably the first
Cool.
time I got it from him. But the one that I'm currently playing, he made this one for me probably about a little over 2 years ago.
Oh.
And and whenever I get a new ukulele from him, that's the one that I use for recording. I use it for practicing. I use it for touring. And I only travel with one ukulele. So if anything happens to it, that's why I've been working on my jokes, so just in case.
Well, we'll lend you one if you need it.
Yeah, the nice thing is a lot of people bring ukuleles to the concerts, because I guess they like when I sign it for them after the show. So I always feel a little. I don't feel as nervous because if anything happens to my ukulele, I know there are a bunch of ukuleles in the audience, and maybe I could borrow one from somebody. So.
We get new players in our group fairly often, and what little simple piece of advice would you give somebody who's just picking up the ukulele?
I would say that, the most important thing is you want to make sure, because a lot of people don't think about this, but you want to make sure your instrument is set up properly. And the reason for that is because if your instrument is not set up properly, meaning the nut is not cut right, and the saddle of your instrument is too high, and it's not intonated right, it's gonna be a struggle to play.
Ooh,
because first of all, it's gonna be
that's really good.
it's gonna be it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult to hold the strings down. Your fingers are gonna hurt because the strings are too high off the fretboard, so you have to press like 3 times harder than you normally would have to on an instrument that's set up right. And if you talk to any guitar player, as soon as they buy a guitar or they get a guitar, the first thing they do is they have it set up. They get it set up by a luthier or someone who knows how to, or someone who does regular guitar setup. And the reason for that is because they adjust the neck so that it's straight and it's properly aligned. And when all that is done correctly, the instrument is so easy to play. You don't have to press hard. You don't have to,
really
you don't. Yeah, and ukulele players, we never think about that, because it's like it's a new world, right? So we don't think about, I didn't know the instrument has to be set up, because but every instrument needs to be set up properly, because if you think about it, they're made at the factory and then they're shipped over, and as it's being shipped over, the instrument changes a lot. The neck bend, things happen. So when it gets into the climate that it's going to stay in, or when the instrument is finally settled in, you have to get it adjusted. And when you do that, you're going to find that the instrument is going to play so much easier. It's going to sound better. It's going to play in tune. You don't have to press so hard on the strings, to play your chords. You can play bar chords so much easier if you're not having to kill your fingers, just to hold the strings down. You shouldn't have to press extremely hard, to hold the strings, to play a chord. I mean, if you're holding the strings down so hard where under your fingers you're having these deep lines, from the string, then that means your instrument's probably not set up right.
Well, that explains all of my problems.
Those bar chords.
It's the ukulele. It's not me.
Any more questions, ladies?
Do you need a ride to the airport after your concert?
We'll take good care of you, Jake.
Yeah, we'll show you the star. That's why they call our town the Star City of the South. We have a star, and maybe you already know this. There's a star up on a mountain in the middle of town, and that's why we're called Star City Ukulele Circle. wish we were going to be meeting when you're going to be here, but we'll all be at your concert.
And
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited. It's gonna be it'll be nice, to get out there and play and like I said, it'll be I think it's a Saturday, so it'll be the last show of that run. I think we'll be coming from like Bristol, Tennessee or something the night before, and we'll play at the Harvester Performance Center, and then I fly back home to Hawaii. The bass player flies to Nashville, and our guitar player flies to Denver.
Wow.
So,
Hey,
All over.
Jake, this is HB. Let me ask you a question. How many shows you do a year?
we do about 130. Yeah, between we try to keep it not more than 140 shows a year. So
Wow.
That's
yeah,
a
but I would,
lot.
ever since since my wife and I had kids, I tried to cut back, because I realized that I love being a dad. I love being home, but on the flip side, I also love work. I love performing. It's a big, for me, it's my passion. I love playing, and I know that I have to keep learning, to feel fulfilled as well. And and the thing that I always tell my kids is when I'm gone, I miss you guys like crazy, but I want you guys to know that I'm doing something that I really believe in, that, because I truly believe that music is a good thing, for our planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them, and I always tell them that one day I hope that you guys find something that you love, you're passionate about, and you believe in. And I told them that even if it does take you away from Hawaii, and I don't get to see you as often, if I know, you're happy and you're doing something that you truly believe in, that I'll be happy, and so now, I'm gone about like I think this year we did about 100. I mean, last year we did about 130 shows. This year we're going to do about 120 shows. And I think every year I've been cutting back just a little bit, and I'm trying to find that perfect balance of being home and being away, and it's nice. And I think my in-laws, of course my mother-in-law, every time she lives on a different island from us, so every time I tour, she'll fly out and she'll stay with my wife and the kids, and she loves it. She loves every opportunity, and I think I've been home now for almost 2 months. Well, not 2 months, but maybe about a little over a month. But I don't leave again until the 22nd, so I'll be home for almost 2 months, and I think she's feeling like, when are you going to grow up going tour?
Well, if you want to give more concerts in Hawaii, we'll be glad to come see them. We have snow on the ground right now, so maybe it'll all be gone by the time you get here.
We've been talking with Jake Shimabukuro, ukulele, virtuoso, and composer. Harvester Performance Center, February 1st. 2 quick questions before we let you go, Jake. Do you ever practice?
Oh, every day.
Ah, all right. And favorite venue? Do you have a favorite venue that you
Yes.
played?
Favorite? Oh, that's a tough one. Because to me, it's never so much about the venue, but it's more about the show. Like I can remember certain shows that maybe it was a show that like my mom flew out for, or a show that like people. Sometimes we have these incredible sing-alongs, like the people start spontaneously singing along. Like I remember, one of the cool moment for me was when we were doing in Australia, we did the what's it called, Blues Fest, which is the Byron Day Blues Fest, and during our set, there was about, I don't know, maybe a little over 5,000 people under the tent, and we were playing our set, and the last song we played was Bohemian Rhapsody, and we just started playing, and about by the time we got to the second verse, that entire audience was singing along. And it just, I mean, even to this day when I think about it, it gives me chills. You know, I'm just like, wow, I can't. It was just incredible.
Well,
You know,
we
so-
hope you play that February 1st at the Harvester Performance Center.
Yeah, we will definitely play that.
All right, I'm gonna give you the last word, Jake, and then we're gonna say aloha.
Okay.
But what's
All
your
right.
what's your final words to us here in Virginia?
Well, I just want to say, you know, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for just accepting the ukulele into your community and using it to just bring a lot of positivity and aloha, you know, into your local community. And I just look forward to coming over and just experiencing that and sharing more music with all of you. So thank you.
Well, wait till you meet Linda and Mary Lou from the Star City Ukulele Circle. It's going to be a fun night. All right, my friend, you've been such an inspiration to us. Thank you so much.
We
Yes.
appreciate you so much, Jake.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Keep it going,
Thank
Jake.
you. Aloha.
Aloha.
Take care.
Aloha.
Aloha. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.